Good evening, everyone. Welcome to CRInvestor and Flibbr's cryptocurrency show for Wednesday, April 23rd, 2014. Good evening, Andre.
Hey Brian.
How are you today?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good, good. Andre's busy Reddit linking away here, so I won't bother him too much. We'll just probably take maybe 5 minutes or so, do a simple introduction. I actually learned something recently about these YouTube videos, and it was recommended that I do it right away. So I'm going to right off say thank you very much. Oh, hello. We're live and on the air. I always have that on in the background just to make sure that the show is running, so I know that it's on. Just a quick review. This is the CRInvestor Flibbr's cryptocurrency show. We're going to probably take the first maybe 10, 20, 30 minutes, whatever. Talk a little bit about what's going on in cryptocurrency land, any new fundamental news that might be driving the trade of late. At about 5:30-ish or so, I'll get into my BTC Finex chart summary. All the boys encouraged me to move from BTCE over to Finex, so that's where I am now, and that's what all my chart analysis will be off of. I can be a bit long-winded, so I'll try and keep it brief. And then we'll get to the good stuff of tonight's show. As always, Flibber's got some really interesting stuff to talk about. He's been chatting with a few people and coming up with things that you out in the public really want to hear about. And actually, I'm quite interested to hear what he has to say tonight. Last part of the show, as always, whatever time's remaining, we'll leave it open to Q&A. I think we have a few people in the lounge tonight. Hello, loungers. How are you doing tonight?
Hello, Brian.
There's one of our loungers. Hello, Darren. How are you?
Not bad. Just woken up.
All right. I suppose that's a testament to the fact that we are 24/7 around the world. You never know where people are going to be popping in from. I'm over here in Canada, hence the name, the Canadian Rational Investor. Andre, you're over in the UK, correct?
That's right.
All right, Darren, where are you?
British.
Sunshine Coast, Australia.
Darren's in Australia. I hear somebody else chiming in there. Brian, where are you?
Britain as well, with Andre.
We got the Commonwealth represented well here. Very interesting. And Eric, chiming in from the lounge, typed in he's from the Netherlands. And good for you, Eric. I'm half Dutch, so you and I were in cahoots together. All right, let's get on to the show. As I said, it was suggested to me recently that I should start the show with an acknowledgement that it takes quite a bit of effort to put these shows together. If you do see any trading ideas, learn any new techniques, get any positive feedback that you would like to reciprocate, you're more than welcome to go to the rationalinvestor.ca's. This is my website, the Canadian Rational Investor, and you can make a donation to my Bitcoin fund. I'd like to thank everybody out there in internet land. I'm now well over one full coin, so basically this project is working away. For full disclosure, I am actually in fiat right at the moment and watching this little rally ensue. I posted earlier today on TradingView, and you can always find it if you follow me on my Twitter feed at CRInvestor, my latest thoughts on the Bitcoin, and it was my impression generally that we're sort of in a consolidation phase right now, and with that in mind, I'm just waiting for the bull to sort of rear its head again before I get all excited about spending money. So that's my plug for the website. Lots and lots of resources. I'm sure all your regular viewers will know lots about them. If you do find value in this show, I would appreciate a donation. That's what I'll say about that. All right. I suppose we could open this up to the forum, anybody who's in the lounge. But Andre, why don't you tell me in a sentence or two what you saw happening in the fundamental things. What happened to my screen? Hold on a second. Let me just get the screen share back, just so everybody's got it. Boom. Let me get my head on straight. All right, so we're in the first half hour here. I like to take this time. Just, Andre, what did you see happen in Bitcoin land this past week that caught your attention?
Basically, the obviously main thing is my eyes now need glasses because of watching the price go sideways for so long. Since we spiked up, we had that huge dead cat bounce where everyone thought it was going to the moon again. Exactly the same thing happened after 700. We went back up to 650, and everybody goes, 700, we're going back to the moon. And even Beauty was in here saying, come on, this is great, good rally. And I was in here going, I'm shorting. This is dead. This is just bullish, fever here. This is not going anywhere. And sure enough, it bounced back down and we've just gone sideways and gradually just kind of rolled over the edge in the last 24 hours. So kind of like the side, sideways.
Fundamental reasons behind that?
It's got to come down to supply and demand, hasn't it? If people want to buy it, nothing will stop it. I mean, the run up to 1,200, people put up 1,000 coin wall and it will just get absolutely chewed up. Right now, people put up 1,000 coin wall and you'd think, there's a fire up ahead and we need to start running the other way as quickly as possible. It's the buyers are just not there. And the thing is, it's really hard to get the buyers in when the price is going down. When the price is going down, people don't want to buy. And that's a funny thing because that is when you should buy. But when the price is going up, oh my God, newfound riches in the land of Bitcoin. When the price is going up, people want to buy. I'm going to get rich. I'm going to buy. I'm going to get rich. I'm going to buy. That's when they're buying at the top. That's the euphoria. And so really, it's just not there right now. Whether it needs to go down another level, whether it just needs a bit of time. I just put the thing on Reddit today about the Atlas teaming up with something to do with regulated exchanges, whether that's going to make people have safety in putting their fiat in these exchanges, and it's going to give them more confidence, and they're going to say, big money's coming, I better get in now, quick. Maybe it's going to be something like that to kind of catalyst it off. And then it comes down to the old story, isn't it? Is it news that's going to take it to the next level, or is it actually fundamental just price analysis that's actually saying, look, we're due to go up. So either way, it's just not there at the moment. It's just not there, but I think it's pretty close myself.
So great summary, Andre. Anybody in the lounge? Any fundamental drivers that you guys would like to mention that you thought maybe moved price action over the past week? All right, they're all quiet. I see Jesse. Jesse, what did you type? You typed any analysis on made safe. What will the price do when safe coins are given out and exchanges are ready to handle the volume of 490 million coins? Good question, Jesse. We usually like to answer those kind of questions at the end of the show. So we're just getting started. I'll try and remember that, and hopefully if anybody in the lounge sees that I didn't remember it during Q&A, we'll mention it then. Thanks for the input, though. I like to hear from lounge members. I've been hearing a few things, and maybe you can enlighten them. During my tutorial session earlier today, we talked a little bit about this. From what I understand, there's still quite a bit of uncertainty hanging over the market about Mt. Gox and what the eventual outcome of that is. I heard today that there is a group of, I don't even know if you'd call them insiders or not, but they are petitioning for the courts to delay this pending liquidation of Mt. Gox assets, in the hopes, I guess, of them trying to turn the ship around and keep it afloat. So I guess my general feeling is, if there is this liquidation event, then basically that will, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's about 200,000 coins or so that Mt. Gox mysteriously found. That date will inevitably mean the instant transaction of those 200,000 coins, and personally I think that that's a bit of an event that the market is heading into. And I think what I saw just recently that caught my attention was this little rally that just happened late today seemed to be spurned on the release of some sort of news release, and I'll find the link later, attesting to this group's wanting to delay this court order. If I'm not mistaken, the liquidation event was supposed to be May 9th. Does that sound about right? What do you guys think?
No idea.
All right, well, I'll see if I can find the link to that while you're doing your presentation. So anyway, that's sort of the fundamental driver that I think is going on in the market, and I always like to just sort of get what the room's feedback is, if anything significant they thought or you thought might be driving price action. So final call on room participation. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 other people that are participating. What does he say? Jesse Green, I created an IFITT for the show. Get notified of the CRInvestor and Flibbr, CRInvestor Bitcoin show. Oh, that's cool. That's a good idea. Thank you very much. All right. So it's about quarter after. No big deal. If we want to move on, we can move on. I'll probably take the next maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes and just go through the sort of hierarchy of my analysis process when it comes to technical analysis. I have these tutorial sessions open, so by all means, if you have any questions about them, feel free to pop in anytime. Basically I'm available. You can find this Google sort of tutorial and show ledger if you go to my website, and usually I'm on TradingView. You can always PM me. Sometimes I'll advertise that the tutorials are open, but my advice to you is, if you want me, take the effort to come and find me, and I'll be more than happy to help you. All right, so we'll start off the story from sort of day one when I got involved in this story, and we'll work our way forward. Sadly, I missed the initial big bull run last fall, and I actually came to this story right around the beginning of December, when a cousin of mine who happened to be in the online merchant business asked me what my thoughts were of this, and really I couldn't give him an opinion. I would say over the past 4 or 5 months I've learned a lot about this Bitcoin and how it works. What I find fascinating is that basically, even though it is supposed to be an alternative to classic assets, its behavior is actually very normal of classic assets. So, we all know that price is just purely a function of supply and demand. And as I've seen this story evolve, I've literally watched, Andre was making reference earlier where, if it's perceived that price is moving higher, all of a sudden demand comes out of nowhere. If it's perceived that price is moving lower, then all of a sudden supply comes out of nowhere. And I've just basically watched this parade lower from this euphoric peak at Christmas over the past 4 months. You know, I'm a big fan of Michael Huddleston, the Inner Circle Trader on YouTube. You can find him. If you need to find him, you can always just go to my links list. And under editorial instruction is the first link there, Inner Circle Trader. Very, very good hedge fund trader type guy who actually has taken the time to produce videos on how fund managers actually trade. If you are new to trading, I would highly recommend that you go check out his site. Very simply put, you know, I always start this analysis process off with, okay, what would the smart money do? And sadly, you know, the public basically always buys at the top and sells at the bottom. The smart money sadly always sells at the top and buys at the bottom. So the question is, you know, right off the bat, this, you know, Bitcoin here started its run. This is the Bitfinex. It started its run, I guess, at about 83 bucks. And made it all the way up to 1,000. So at $1,000, would there be a lot of institutions that would actually step up and buy this thing? And the simple answer is no. You know, unfortunately, you just have to go through this process a number of times to realize that, you know, at some point you can only stretch the rubber band so far, and it has to naturally correct. So I make reference to the Inner Circle Trader because one of his main tenets is this concept of optimal trade entries. In that, if an institution was interested in buying this asset, where would they consider buying? It's really just that simple. And ICT's basic premise, and really, you know, just from working in the market for more than 20 years, I wholeheartedly concur, is that usually markets like to retrace somewhere between 61.8% and 78.6% of their previous move. And it's in this zone where institutions will actually be interested in making an investment in some sort of asset that's gone up dramatically. You know, I suppose you could make the fundamental argument that Bitcoins are buys, you know, the whole way up, and you can still make this same fundamental argument the whole way down. The problem here is that, you know, I call myself the rational investor, and that is any good rational investment will be half fundamental, so that would be like our green box, and half technical, which would be our red box. And technically, or I guess not technically, the area that you see on my logo in the white is what this overlap, right, or where the two camps agree. So you can make a fundamental case that Bitcoin should be bought, but if you can't make a technical case that Bitcoins can be bought, then you're in sort of drift. And unfortunately, I think, you know, as price was moving down over the past 3 or 4 months, basically the fundamental story was basically the same. It really hasn't changed that much, but the technical story had to clean itself up. You know, classic technical analysis will just simply say, you know, M tops are where supply is overwhelming demand, and W bottoms are simply where demand is overwhelming supply. So just on a very simple technical analysis basis, regardless of OTEs or institutional order blocks or pivot points or anything like that, just ask yourself, what does price look like? Does it look like an M or does it look like a W? You know, when we broke out from these lows here way back when, you could argue that the breakout from you know, these highs is very WE in fashion, right? So the move through here, this level right here, is basically this massive W, right? Where it looks like that. So there to there to there, and away we go. This is the type of action that I need to see for me to start getting bullish again. Keep in mind this is a daily price chart, so we're looking a little bit longer time frame. So let's keep this W pattern in mind, and let's go see what price is doing right now. All right, so remember, as basic technicians, we want to, if we see M's, then that's bearish, and if we see W's, that's bullish. So, just on balance, nice and simple, there's a pretty well-defined M. This is a V. This is a V. This is a pretty well-defined M. This is a V. This is an M, not so much M, that they're not as well-defined anymore, but, if we zoom this chart in, this is, lower highs and lower lows. What do we have most recently off of this recent low? Is this a W, or does this look more like a V? And the answer, unfortunately for me, is this still looks like a V. We really want to see price make this panic low, rally away from it, and then maybe come back down, test it, and then reverse. And then we know that at least we have some sort of bottom in place. And frankly, on the daily charts, I just don't see that. Now, does that mean that price can't move over the short term? Absolutely not. Price can go anywhere it really wants. But what are the historical tendencies based on that M and W type price action? Turns out that when you get this V type action, that's actually very indicative of bear markets. And when you get this M type price action, that's very indicative of bear markets. Conversely, through bull markets, and this isn't really the best example to use, probably if we looked over time, but I just don't want to go down there too far right now. Over bull markets, you'll see W's, and the tops themselves will be upside down V's, where it's straight up and straight down. And then once this is done, then we move on to new highs. So on balance, I think the correction is still continuing. I don't see any reason for me to start pounding the table, as I like to say when I see something really juicy. I see that we have a fairly well-defined trend line that price is hugged, and we've just recently broken over it. Then we came back underneath it. Now we're sort of just consolidating around it. So I think we're sort of battling with this trend line. If you could argue what was price trying to hug of late, looks to me like this trend line here is probably a magnet. I see that through this entire correctionary process, we're actually putting in higher lows, and not yet, but it looks like we're trying to put in higher highs on our internal momentum indicators. So just the fact that this panic low here on the momentum was far worse than this low here on the momentum indicates, we did have this price spike, right? And that price spike was to 381. Our low here was 340. So technically, because these lows are lower on the MACD than these lows here, but price was actually lower, here we have what's called a momentum divergence. So something to keep an eye on. As well, our good old sort of overbought, oversold indicator was suggesting down in this 340 area that the public was maybe acting a little stupid. And I know that term is kind of abrasive, but really that's the best way to describe that. Anybody who sold into this event right here, they're probably looking back and saying, that was kind of a stupid idea. And so that's why this overbought, oversold indicator was designed in the first place. Its specific purpose was to prevent me from doing stupid things in the marketplace. And I would argue that selling when you were down in this area was not a very good idea, and sure enough, we've worked our way out of there. Does that mean that we can't go down and test those lows and break to new lows? No, that doesn't mean that whatsoever. As I said before, for me to start actually thinking bullishly, I need to see some W's in price action, and we don't have that yet. So ironically enough, we're still sort of working lower highs and lower lows. Having said that, there are some anecdotal pieces of evidence that suggested that this 340 area was an interesting area. Couple that with, and remember I first mentioned that institutions really have no interest whatsoever in buying tops of markets. Where are they interested? And Mr. Huddleston, Mr. ICT, he suggests that they get interested between the 61.8 and 78.6 fib, and the midpoint, or that 70.5, is what he likes to call the sweet spot, or that's the area where they're most interested. And sure enough, if you look at price action, we flirted into this area a few times. Now we came fully into this area, and what does price do? It's trying to reject out of here. So that tells me that there is some demand in this area. And you also notice with the OBV, this is basically our volume trend indicator. When we did get down into this area, this is the first time in a while we've seen some chunky green bars. And you can see the OBV itself crossed back above its moving average, suggesting again that, the institutions were buying exactly where we expected them to be buying. So that's a good sign. Put it all together. Bear markets usually don't last that long. Usually, though, and what's interesting here is if you did sort of a time correlation, be interesting to see, and let's just do it, just eyeball it, how many bull run cycles have we got in this bear cycle? So the bull run cycle basically was our first green box. And now that you can see, the bear run cycle is now run more than twice the duration of the bull run. My hunch is we're probably going to have to do like the better part of 3. So if we look at it from that perspective, then that probably puts our eventual finish of this bear cycle somewhere around the beginning of June. And that's fascinating because I keep coming up with that date, somewhere around the beginning to middle of June. And keep in mind, too, in the stock market, we have a classic cliche that says sell in May and walk away. So if we did have some sort of climactic selling event and some sort of climactic bottom around the beginning, middle of June, that would basically play right into that cliche as well. All right, so that's about 15 minutes. Gives you a pretty good idea of what I'm looking at over the higher time frame on the daily chart. I think we come into a bottoming zone. Really what we now need to see is price action to confirm that we are actually bottoming. I think we're in the process of that. Just a OTE short sweet spot off of this last rally peak could take us up into that 607 area. And then when we look at the 4-hour chart, you'll see basically where I'm shooting for on the downside. So zooming on to the 4 hours. Make sure there's nobody sitting here wanting to talk. All right, looks all clear. All right, so I drew this chart up maybe about maybe half a day ago, somewhere in that neighborhood. Don't see a lot of change to what I see here. Here is that rally 719 on the Bitfinex, and then the ultimate sell-off low to 340. So here is that OTE short sweet spot that I just made reference to a moment ago, 607. If we fail here and we have to go down, I think it's more than likely that we do an OTE off of the lows, which just take us down to about 401. So quite literally what that means is we have, we're sitting here basically about 500 bucks. We could very easily, in my opinion, oscillate $100 higher or $100 lower from current levels. So I don't know if you have a coin handy on you, but if you're, my hunch is just based purely on what I see here, it's literally a coin toss which way we go. Can we look at some of the internal indicators and see what they tell us? Clearly on this rally peak, Willie got stupidly overbought. And of course, like we said, this isn't necessarily a sell signal in itself, but it is a signal to me, Brian, don't be stupid and buy here, right? And sure enough, that was a good idea. Doesn't necessarily mean that the price is going to collapse down to zero, but what it means is don't get sucked into this euphoria, wait for price to correct, which it's doing, and then take a setup. So, for those that don't appreciate the power of Willie, I think right here is a perfect testament to it. All right. So if we were going to move our way up into this OTE short sweet spot, are there any sort of technical justifications for the market doing so? I could argue, and I'll just get rid of these for the time being. All right. I could argue that if we have a bullish resolution through this consolidation here, it sets up what's known as one of my bot setups. And if you're more than welcome to go to my CRInvestor services folder and check out my little summary of the bot trading model and how it works. This link here, I can post it in the lounge if you want to understand how that works. I'll post it also in the YouTube feed while Andre's doing his presentation. But the long and short of it here on the bot is that it's a play of the harmonics, and in this case it's a AB equals CD harmonic pattern. And here's an example of the bot in action in crude oil for your reference. So when I look at this 4-hour chart, I see basically a rally off of this 400 level up to the 550 level. Nice consolidation. That sets up a bullish ABCD pattern, and the bot itself is these levels. So if I wanted to take this trade, and really, if the momentum indicators tell me to, then I'll be more than happy to go with it. I would be going long, and this is a 4-hour trade, on a bullish resolution through 510, and risk down to these lows, 473.81. So really, in my opinion, that's, for higher leverage guys, that's obviously way too much risk to even consider. But if you're just buying coins, that's a $30, $35 risk. And our target on this trade would be basically a rally up into this OTE short zone that we talked about earlier. The bot target, 100% of that ABCD, would be 620. So that's $110 of potential reward for about, $37 of risk. That's not a bad setup, and basically that is my trading plan. I don't know whether I would take this off of the 4-hour. It's a bit high, but for those people that are just calm, slow investors, that's not a bad setup to consider. All right, so let's zoom in a little bit more. We'll look in on the hourly, and basically we're going to take a look at what this price action here is telling us. And so this would be for those that are a little bit shorter time frame reference. We're going to first take a look at the big picture, and then I'll zoom in and we'll take a look at the smaller picture up close. So big picture, what do we see here? OTE long sweet spot off of this rally alone is 443. We came down to the 38.2 and we failed there, which in itself suggest that this bull run was getting a bit exhausted. I posted this on my Twitter feed and on the TradingView that my hunch, if you were to ask me, was that we need to work down into this OTE zone. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but as somebody that has worked in the market a while, that would be my hunch. Off of this double bottom that we put in here, off the 50% level, the OTE short sweet spot was about 519 to 531. And it was interesting to see that this rally made it to 518, so just underneath the OTE short sweet spot. And then we promptly put in a double top. So again, you know, bearish market structure, bearish market structure. What do the bottoms look like? This was a V bottom off a new low here, and then just a price spike. And this most recent bottom was just a V bottom. So in my opinion, market structure is still pointing lower, not higher. As well, we did get a rainbow moving average cross where basically all the moving averages move down together. You can see the 200 period moving average now just is right on this major trend line here. So it looks to me like we got one heck of a fight that might develop here right around 500 again. Big surprise. You know, it's a big fat round number. Big fat round numbers act as magnets in the marketplace. So really, the fact that we're oscillating so much around this 500 level should not come as any surprise to any trader. Really, that's just par for the course. All right, so looking at this action here up close, zoomed in a little bit more. Andre and I earlier, there's that OTE short sweet spot above us and the OTE long sweet spot below us. Again, we're sort of in that sort of flip of the coin kind of place. Just off of the hourly chart, you know, the 4 hour, we could go $100 higher, $100 lower. Off of the hourly chart, we could easily jump up into the 525 area, and we could easily break down into the 440 area. So again, you got a coin on you. I don't know which way it's going to go. I don't think anybody knows which way it's going to go. And really, the odds, in my opinion, are both scenarios could play themselves out. Looking at this current price action, Andre and I both sort of noticed that we had what's called a descending wedge here, where basically you had lower highs and lower lows, but the lows, if you drew a trend line off of them, you could see price was contracting, and at some point this was going to resolve itself. Typically, you know, if you just Google search, we'll just pop it open here. This is just called falling wedge, and we'll go images. Usually, and here's the nice sexy one. Hopefully you can all see my screen. Good. So usually in a falling wedge pattern, you get a violent breakout near the apex, and this can translate into a bit of a rally. So I think that's basically what's happened here. Where are we here? We had this wedge, we had the breakout, subsequent rally. If you look at it from a price scale perspective, and this is sort of what Andre and I were looking at earlier today, the first rally from the low to the high, it was 23 and a quarter ticks, right? The next rally to the high was 18 ticks. So if we wanted to continue that progression, you know, assuming that this little short-term wedge is playing itself out, what would that imply as a rally off of these lows? And I think that would imply, and we sort of came to the conclusion that, you know, 23, 18, next logical steps around 15 or somewhere in there, which would imply a rally back up to, gee whiz, there's that number again. Well, this one is 497. There's that, that 100 period or 200 period moving average. There's that major trend line. We got all of these lines represent stop levels, so they could run all of these stops, but each one of them represents resistance. And it just seems to me, we ran up to one and backed off. Maybe we're going to run up to the next one here at 495. It might back off. But it seems to me that it looks like she wants to work her way up into this high 400s area. We look at the momentum indicators. We got a nice double bottom. Earlier when I published this chart, we hadn't broken out here, and I said that we were building to something here. I don't see anything really to get excited about on volume just yet. We're still below the moving average, and we've already rallied a fair distance. If we, hit our upside objectives around 500, and then that's what puts in the breakout through the moving average, that might be a bit suspect to me, considering that momentum now is already in the 1, 2, 3, 4th bar higher here. At some point, if you count these bars, usually 5, 6, 7, 8, it starts getting a bit old. So what does that mean? We sort of did a projection in time. I actually thought we were going to get a bit more of a pullback here. We haven't. If we're doing ABCDs and we believe that that this time window is probably going to be the end of our rally, right up into this area here, then that puts the rally should finish at about 2100 hours Pacific time. So what's that? That's about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, somewhere in there. All right, and then just finally looking at the very short-term chart, here is that bottom. You can see that we put in a double bottom within a double bottom. You can also see that this bottom came on the 78.6 fib of that OTE zone, and you got regular watchers, listeners will recall that I'm a firm believer that for bull markets to remain bull markets, they have to hold this 78.6. So I find it's fascinating how we came down here and just kept pressing, and it just wouldn't go through there. And finally, after a certain amount of times, I think the bears just gave up. We have high volume, then lower down volume, then lower down volume, then lower down volume, then lower down volume. To me, this basically says that the bears have run out of ammunition. They just don't have any more ammunition. So you get into those kind of situations, and considering that it was in the OTE zone, a counter trend rally is quite realistic. So if we were going to rally again where it seems logical, I don't know why. Oh, I guess it's going to work now. But you can see this 38.2 is what I like to call my first stop target. I see this hit time and time again. That was 496. You saw that we got up to 495. I still think my hunch is we're going to work up into this area. If we can't and we start breaking down, then I'm going to be watching the 486 level to see if that holds. That's these old lows. Maybe we'll be putting an inverted head and shoulders. Tough to say right now. I suppose if the momentum indicators did warrant it, I could consider bot setups, which is that bull ABCD pattern. And so on a very short term, looking 15-minute basis only. If this was our consolidation range, then to create the bot target, all we do is just project that range off of the consolidation low, and then just change the numbers. So bot trade, gotta reverse it. Reverse. All right, so your bot setup comes on a technical buy through 493. Which would basically be a resolution of this this previous trading range high. You would risk down to 489. So basically, what's that, about $4 or $5? Actually, that's 489. That's 490 really, eh? So $3. What are these lows? This low's 490.03, 490. So basically, if they busted that 490 level, get out of the trade. 3-to-1 risk reward. Your target would be that 502. So that's basically what I see. That would, in my opinion, be quite a high risk trade. But nonetheless, the setup is there, and considering the higher time frames are suggesting a shot up into this sort of high 400, low 500 area, for slick traders, I suppose it is something to consider. Obviously, the buy was off of the double bottom, and Andre's going to tell us about his wonderful buys down there. And another gentleman that we do shows with, Landon, on Saturday, he was telling me how he bought down in that area too. So, way to go, guys. That's basically my summary. That's been about a half an hour, so hopefully that puts everything into perspective. For those higher time frame players, you can get an idea of what I'm looking at here. Trend-wise, do I think this is a bottom? Not yet. For those that are playing lower time frames, on the 4-hour basis, I think there's $100 higher, $100 lower easily. On the hourly basis, I think we're setting up for a huge battle here at 500. And as we said just a few minutes ago, we do get a resolution through that 500. The bot will actually like to go long there at about 510. So go figure. Just to finish off, for those very short-term traders, we do have a potential, an excellent little double bottom right in the higher, in the OTE long zone. So that basically played out as Mr. Huddleston would have suggested. Second stage coming late to the party. If this is trend continuation, and really we need to see volume and momentum confirm, you could maybe get another setup here to go long 493 with your ultimate target for a shot up to 502. Not a hell of a lot of money. What is that, like $8? We're not talking lots. The problem here, as Andre sort of pointed out at the very beginning of the show, is that lower time frame players, we're into chop here, and this can be very painful. And I actually took a few bot setups here and got chopped up just because there's just no trend continuation right now. And frankly, for a guy like me, I personally think I'm best just to kick back and relax and wait for this hourly OTE zone to develop, or to see a nice double bottom come in here for a play off that 510 breakout. All right, that's basically my summary. If you have questions, then by all means, you can post them. We will get to questions at the end of the show. Now, we'd like to hear Flibbr's comments. So, Flibbr, the stage is yours. Have fun.
Okay, Brian. So I'm going to put a screen share. Okay, I'll put my screen on. Can you see that, can you? Do you have to turn it on my screen or something?
I see the little dog, and I've clicked on your screen.
Who else? Can anybody else see my screen? We go on a chart.
I can see your screen now.
Okay, cool. Let me just check it's definitely visible on the YouTube. I don't want to kick off if nobody else can see it.
Keep in mind the YouTube feed is a little bit delayed, right?
Yeah. So a quick check on that. I can mute it instantly so I don't hear myself.
I'm still not muted, am I? Sorry.
It's alright. Yeah, so I think, oh, that's it. It's on my screen. It's on my screen now. So, yeah, okay, yeah, that's cool. So yeah, this was the first one I wanted to go through. So I've been posting this a lot lately. This is a 4-hour Bitfinex, and there's kind of like two resolutions. It was going to be my bearish chart, and what I basically said was this line here, from the top to this bottom, the top 540 to 473, as an ABCD pattern, took you right in to 440, which just happened to be the OTE long sweet spot zone off this kind of off the next leg up, which I thought was pretty interesting. And it was also the bottom major support on this 4-hour itchy cloud as well. But it never quite got there for some reason. It never quite made it all the way down. Let's just put that back on, which is weird because I thought these are some GAN lines I put up here, 7 degrees, and I think this one's probably 15, or that was probably 26, and this is 15. But when it was on the way down here, I thought it was on the way down here, and I actually said to Landon, I said, I wonder if it gets to that GAN line and just bounces off. And it did. It has kind of bounced off. But I wonder now. This has got 2 resolutions in my opinion from here, and the first one is because this is a higher low, you know, compared to the 470. So what I would like to see is actually a higher high here. Yeah, to really get bulls excited. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. But one thing that could happen is I just drew a trend line off these peaks, and it looks more likely it's a bit exhausted still. So it looks more likely it might hit this kind of 508. This is 508. You know, it could spike that, maybe fight at 505 is possible. You know, I don't know. Maybe it just hits the top of the cloud at 500, and then back down. And it could test this level, and this would put in a double bottom on the 473. It would also be the bottom of the cloud, so that would probably be some good support. So so it could do a double bottom and then take off like that. You know, it could do. You know, I don't know, but basically, so there's quite a few little resolutions that could go on there. You know, I don't know which way it's going to go, but you know, 4-hour MACD is also turning. You know, at the end of the day, that could just come back down again, or it could go off into some huge wave. So, so yeah, up, down, or sideways is going to do one of those. So that's the one chart. And the other chart, I actually posted this one earlier on today.
Very bold of you, sir.
Yeah, it's just going to do one of those. This is the one I posted today. This is before it all happened. And I posted this in the Bitcoin Markets Daily, and I said, look, this is the OTE spot. I said it's going to come down, it's going to scoop into it, it's going to lift off. I said this is on its way down. I said it's just like it's happening before, and it's going to take off. And this is exactly what's happened. You can see the Willie's just taken off through it, the RSI's just taken off through it, and so really this was where I bought in the bottom here. But it was a really easy buy. Because scary buy, because there was no volume, and it was, you know, it's scary. But you know, just took an OTE. I noticed as I published this, well, I didn't publish it, but as I kind of like was posting it around, I noticed Brian was doing this one, going to the OTE target of 400, long walk back to 400. I was thinking, no, don't say that. I've just taken out a long here. But yeah, OTE spot off this little one. I just thought, you know, I actually shorted here. And I was so annoyed that I didn't instantly put my buy in when that hit, and then I put it in straight away, and then that one, but it didn't quite hit it, and I was like, oh my god, can you believe it? But anyway, eventually it worked its way down to it, and of course by the time it got to the bottom down here, nobody wants to buy it because everybody thinks it's falling further, so everybody's just kind of ignoring it. And I think there's only me and Landon that were actually placing bids in here and just scooping up these coins. So the reason why I bought it was mainly because I just saw the similarity. It's almost like a descending wedge on the RSI, exactly the same as what happened before, really. And I thought it's a good chance, you know, it's OTE long sweet spot. It's a good chance it's going to break out up. There's this kind of bullish momentum building on the MACD as well. So, so yeah, I took out the long here, banked out probably 3/4 of it already, just because I, you know, if it comes back down, to the mini OTE kind of 486, maybe I'll go long again for another leg up. But you know, there's a lot of targets up here, like 495. That's where it pinged off first. That's a target. And then it goes 500, and then it's 505, and then it's 515. So it's really thick resistance. I mean, this is going to be a struggle. So, you know, maybe it doesn't make it. But the other thing is it did cut through this little line here as well, And I also noticed on Hubi, it's also cut through the same line. I mean, it could just poke back down again, and they get violated, and they just go back down again after the excitement's wore off. So that's. But I would like to see. A high. This is a higher low, and I would like to see a higher high as a resolution from this, and then some consolidation up there, and then just going off into euphoria. So those are my two main charts. Again, I published this one on Bitcoin Markets. And then the other one, I didn't make this one, but it's so interesting. I've got to show you guys. I'm just going to hide this. So this is the peak up here at 1,200, and this is the Silk Road dumping, and this is the bottom last time, and this is the bottom this time. And the reason why I'm calling it the bottom this time is it does have this V shape. Which Brian says is as of a bear market, but also it's a good bottoming. It's just like a panic fear. Okay, I'll buy, and it just kind of did the same here. China's banned Bitcoin, so it did the same, and what I did is I just cloned from the top of that V, because you see this. I forgot his name, the guy that drew this, but yeah, he just drew these trend lines going up through here. Kind of in parallel. You see they actually line up really well. They sit really well, and yeah. So I just cloned the bars from this chart from the top of the V to kind of the top of the next peak, and I thought that's pretty interesting. Let's give that a play. So here's our V that we just had. Just to make it a little bit bigger, and then I'll put the bars over the top. And I don't know if you can see, but the overlay between the bars, look, it just comes down, up, down, then it goes really down. It might not do that again. That would be the 440 here. It might not do that because it's a particularly fearful time. But either way, the overlay is really similar, and this kind of fits in quite nicely, really. Down a bit of bear. If it does kind of give up on this triangle, like I just said, it kind of gives up a bit and it does go down. It could easily pick itself back up, go sideways, break the bear trend, and just kind of slowly build for a bit of steam and momentum back up, through to, which is even weirder, this kind of target. Look at that, where that ends up. The last peak is actually straight on the top of that last peak up there. So that's going to be pretty interesting, on 720. So pretty, pretty interesting, really, all that. So yeah, I just wanted to go through that as well. So
throw your bids in at the OTE long sweet spot, I think.
Yeah, full margin leverage long, get in there and just go for it.
So just looking at that chart here, that pullback, that comes right down to the consolidation of that original low, eh? So that's sort of down here. So that might say you could actually try and buy at 400.
Yeah, 400. But whether, it might not. I mean, this was a particularly fearful time. We just went from kind of $12 to 266 in a few months. $50 at that time was still. I mean, this was when it kind of hit like 80, 70 again, and it was, it was like, wow, this was amazing.
I mean, irrespective of the actual prices, right? I think what happens here is that the market is playing out harmonically, mm-hmm. and we get all obsessed with the individual prices, mm-hmm. but what we're missing is that big harmonic picture. And just this overlay here, that speaks to that so well. I mean, it's holding the trend channel. It's going to rally up and test, just based on that, test that significant peak. It's, the consolidation is right on that blue line. Oh, where'd the blue line go? Anyway, it was on the blue line. And that actually looks, that white chart that you've overlaid, I've seen that price pattern before. This is not, it's not like, it's weird. If after a while you've done this so long, you go, oh yeah, I've seen that before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it looks pretty legit, really, doesn't it? You know, it looks like they could be the bars on it.
You know, and
So,
I, you know, my W, actually right where you have where you had your mouse there, my W would start, would be that, you know, so the panic low, right, which would be right into the OTE, then the rally back off of it, then probably a little pullback, you know, just after that, and then boom, there's the W. You follow me?
yeah, and I think once it does break this bear channel trend line as well, I mean, basically, we're going to break it. You know, we either keep going down for a really long time, or we just stay at this price and go sideways, and we're going to break it. Either way, it was going to get broken sooner or later. When it does break,
the question would be for me to you is, let's plot some times on that. So, you know, like, what's that ultimate peak? If you draw a vertical line off that, that's about the middle of June.
let's have a look. That's yeah, it's what date is that? 9th of June. 9th of June,
So
that
the
is.
question is, could we realistically, is there some sort of catalyst around that date? Because keep in mind, remember when I drew my daily boxes, right? According to my simple trend analysis, that markets go down 3 times as long as they go up. That comes to an end on June 10th. So, you know, maybe your rally into that, where's your window? Your rally into that peak actually signifies the end of the bear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, that would definitely. And the thing is, once it crosses that line, there's going to be a lot of people that go, "Whoa, we're through," and that's going to bring in a lot of buying in itself. Everybody's going to be posting, you know, we've breached this bear channel, this trend line, you know, so everybody's going to be getting a bit excited then. So then it'll probably have a bit of a rally.
Yeah. Well,
And then it'll die off.
I would argue that you look at the low just before the last time it touched that high, right? And if you got that again, that would make a beautiful inverted head and shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's going to be pretty interesting to watch out for. But I mean, the timeline's pretty cool as well, kind of like July, mid-July. You know, I mean, if you look at the symmetry between when the last peak was and there, it's almost like a 50-50 split as well, isn't it?
So what we should do is we should create a seasonality chart. Like, how many years has this silly thing been around?
I don't know when the data goes back to.
When does this thing seasonally like to top? When does it seasonally like to bottom? That would be an interesting study.
Yeah, I just don't think there's enough data to get anything worthwhile out of it.
So you see that box that you've drawn on your chart?
Yeah.
All right, so you basically just superimposed that price action over a recent one, right?
Yeah.
All right, so just to the right of the box, look at the price action. So it kind of went sideways, and then it broke, and then quickly reversed back up. I could see that kind of price action.
Yeah. I mean, it basically went sideways for ages after that. And I remember it was going sideways, and I was thinking to myself, oh my God, you know, I think it was kind of whatever price it was. Maybe I was thinking of this kind of region. But I remember it was going sideways for ages, and I was just thinking, come on, go up. and it was kind of slowly going up, and then the Silk Road is shutting down, and that's when everybody was just like, oh my God, and big panic sell, just rebounded instantly, and then everyone was like, aha, look, Bitcoin, it's not just for buying drugs. Look, even now you can't buy drugs with it, it's still legit, and then it kind of added a sense of legitimacy to it, and that was, you know, the feeling, and then it just took off a bit really, and then China went with it, and that was it.
All right, so it's a little bit after 6. How far along in your sort of presentation are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I can finish there. I mean,
you got lots of time. You got lots of time.
Well, I mean, the only other thing, I mean, there's many things to talk about, but one thing is that everybody's obsessed with watching China China goes up, let's go up. China goes down, let's go down. I mean, I now go to sleep at 5:30 in the afternoon and wake up at 2:30 in the morning so I can be on China time, because I don't need to set stops or anything when I go to bed, because I know that when China's asleep, the price is not doing anything. It's like if there's a $3-4 fluctuation while China's asleep, that's a lot of movement. It's done something, and it's really lame. And it's lame because if you look at the amount of bitcoins on Bitfinex, Bitstamp, these guys have got the depth on the order book. They've got the coins. America's got the VCs investing in Bitcoin. Americans got Bitcoin on the news. All these other sites, the USD ones, have got all the coins on them, and yet China, who's got probably, I don't know, a fraction of the coins these other ones have got, and everybody's just following them all the time. And people are like, oh, OK coin is going up. It's like, well, OK coin's got less than 500 coins on it. Why do we care what OK coin are doing? So yeah, basically.
Does that not? It seems to me like, I think the price action here, to me, is the big boys are trying to get the public out, and they're trying to take positions.
Oh yeah, they will be, yeah. But I just don't know why. So it's like when Mount Gox was around. Mount Gox would just do whatever it wanted to do. I mean, yeah, if China was going off like a rocket, so would Gox. But also, Gox would just do its own thing, and China would probably have to obey. If Gox was just kicking off, either direction, China would just follow. And today, Stamp did start a rally, and China did follow. So Stamp they can lead, but the problem is that everybody's so obsessed with watching China that it's difficult to do anything, because everybody's just waiting for China to do everything all the time. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to talk about as well was this. It's on one of my things. On my things I was going to talk about. It's really important. It's chasing the price and patience. And the problem is that so many people are watching the price, and it starts to go up, and they're like, yes, I'm going to buy, it's going up. But the problem is that if you try and limit buy when the price is going up, you're not going to get filled, because nobody's going to market sell when it's going up. So then you have to market buy, and then all you do then is you push the price up even further with your buy. You create a new little top, which then makes you kind of buying at the top, hoping more market buyers come in and push it higher. There's no support underneath you. So what you've done is just kind of expose yourself to a load of risk, by market buying. And
it's a very hard lesson for people to learn.
Yeah, and it's exactly the same when you sell. When you sell, if you think, oh my God, the price is going down, I better sell, then you market sell, and you drive a new low in that price. And the only way you're going to end up winning is if somebody else decides to market sell, and they sell it even lower, and then ask support comes in to maintain that new lower level that you've just created as you're digging it out. So what happens is, because Bitcoin is full of so many immature, emotional traders like this, is why you get these really volatile swings. It's like, it's going up, everybody's buying, it's going up. So it goes up, and then it flatlines because everybody's like, nobody's buying, I'm not going to buy. Nobody's selling, I'm not going to sell. So it just flatlines, and then somebody starts to sell. I'm going to sell too. I'm selling first, and so then it just goes off an edge, and so it just kind of like goes up and goes down.
Welcome to the world of markets, Andre.
Yeah, and so really, what I would say is, you've got to have your strategy. Like I had my strategy today. I found the OTE off those levels. I looked at the divergence playing off. I said, I'm going to buy at that OTE. And I stuck limit buys on the OTE. And the good thing about limit buys is when it's going down, people are going to be more than happy to market sell into you. They're going to think, haha, these suckers buying at this price, it's going down. And some guy, he said in chat, he said, I've just sold my coins at a loss. He bought at 494 and he sold at 483. And he goes, I've just sold my coins. I said, I think you've just sold them to me. I've just bought them. And then 10 minutes later, the price was back up. And he was like, oh, can I have my coins back? I was like, no, I've just sold them off at a profit now. So if you want to get filled on a limit, you've got to buy when everybody's panicking and selling, and you want to sell at a limit when it's euphoria, when it feels really euphoric. That's the best time to sell.
My limit orders have just been outside. I swear, the other day, I mean, I could show you. It's just so frustrating. I had an order just sitting here, and I told you this, on this rally here, and I mean, this is the danger of limit orders, right? I had an order to sell here, and I don't know, can you see my screen? Maybe not. Yeah, I guess you can. I had an order to sell at 507.20. I remember I told you earlier, right? And the son of a bitch, I literally watched them, and this is a function of the illiquidity of these other markets, right? And basically, Hobie's rallying like crazy, and they literally went up to 506, and I was talking to my buddy. We were just, I was long from like 490 something, just feeling just totally awesome, and then it stalled. And it was just like, oh, you jerks. A buck below my price. Anyway,
yeah,
so that's the opposite side of that. Sometimes having limit sells can actually work against you.
Yeah, and I mean, although I've got a rule, never market buy or never market sell. The rules are only there for guidance, not blind obedience. If it is taking off like a rocket ship like the other day, just get in, and ride the wave. But the other thing I just want to speak about as well was that was my market limit orders I wanted to have a go about. But this was this thing of people. A lot of people are saying to me, oh, I come up with an idea, like I'm going to buy an OTE, and then other people start sending out charts and stuff like this, and then I kind of don't have confidence in what I'm going to do and start flip-flopping and all this stuff. And what I would say to that is basically just do it. Just don't listen to anybody else. Look at their ideas, but, just come up with your own thing that you're going to stick with.
Well, and so, that speaks to the whole idea of having a trading plan.
Exactly, yeah.
And, like I was joking with you earlier, because my trading's getting a little sloppy lately. And I'm noticing that I'm moving away from my plan. I'm not nearly as disciplined, and I have to get back to my trading plan. So all that speaks is to that. And anybody out there in internet land, anybody in the lounge, we basically run a show on Saturdays. That's all we really should be talking about is trading psychology and working on your trading plan. So that, when you sit in chat and somebody's like, oh, it's going straight up, oh, it's going straight down, you look and say, so what? I don't care. I'm going to just follow my plan, take the setup, and live with the results. Just simple as that.
Yeah, and I mean basically the number one thing, if it looks like it's on the edge, if you bought 495 and it's at 500 and it's looking dicey, just get out, because the number one thing is, because Bitcoin's great, but it's dollars that matters really. So basically you just make sure you sell higher than you bought. As long as you sell higher than you bought, that's cool. If you think it's looking dodgy and you might not be able to sell higher than you bought, just get out. And that's it. Just make sure you bank the profit. Just always try and bank profit. At the end of the day, as long as you increase your dollar value, just keep playing safe, banking dollar value. Yeah, always take profit. Sean just said it, always take profit. Make sure you always take profit. As long as you keep banking dollar profit, when Bitcoin does have a big panic sell, because China's banned it, you'll be going, yeah, so always make sure you bank profit. And if you don't, just try and get out minimal loss possible. If it crashes just as you buy in, just try and get out minimal loss possible or whatever. But yeah, just try and bank profit. Always sell higher than you bought. Number one rule.
Easier said than done, my friend. But anyway.
Easier said than done. It's a rule. There's loads of questions in here. Let's go through them. There's
All right.
loads.
So that's good. So it's about 6:15. I think we've done a pretty good job on summarizing our thoughts on Bitcoin. I suppose at the very end we could always take a look at Litecoin just to give our 2 cents. Just scrolling through the questions here. I see Brian saying hi to his mom. Way to go, Mom. If you see a question that I'm not seeing, then feel free.
Right, well, the first one is rounding bottom pattern. Eric posted that, so I just had a look on that. Yeah, I think we kind of saw that today when we bought in. What's this one? Jesse, a couple of bearish white swans on the M30. Big boys have a lot of weight over in China. Yeah, and the other thing is, Jesse, is with Huobi and now having the US translation on the site, if I was a big boy, I'd be moving funds over to Huobi. I mean, I don't know whether I'd want to move that much over there, but I'd probably stick a couple of thousand over there because you control Huobi. You control all the exchanges. You could just take out like a huge short on Bitfinex, go to Huobi, and just start battering it, or whatever. And you could just make money that way. So, you control Huobi, you control price. So yeah, I definitely think they're going to be heading over to China, but it depends how much money they want to stick over there, how confident they are in Huobi, doesn't it? So Sean Emberg, hey guys. Sorry, this is super late. Was listening on YouTube. Took me a while to find this hangout. CRInvestor was asking about the significance of June. If I'm not mistaken, that also lines up with when Lawsky will have regulation ready for BitLicense. That's a thing in New York, I think. And also when Second Market is going to be ready for their exchange to the common investor. Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of cool bullish stuff going on. I think everybody's feeling it. It's just nobody wants to kind of push it up. Everybody wants cheaper coins, don't they? 2K for 68K safe coins. Yeah, everybody just wants cheaper coins, don't they? And that's why nobody wants to buy. Everybody's just like, it's going to come down. It's going to come down. This is the bear trap. This is where everybody keeps selling it down, thinking it's going to go back down to 380. It's going to go down to 380. It never does. The bear trap. Here's an IFT. Oh yeah, seen that.
That was Jesse. You posted that? Cool. I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, Darren said it's all about locking in more of the asset, and then the dollars look after themselves. It does if the asset keeps going up. Oh, but yeah, one thing I would say as well is there's what I call ultimate buys and ultimate sells. Like say the 540 top was the ultimate sell. So what I said the other day to a sender was, if you can get a good sell at 540, then you're golden. Because basically, when it goes down to, because you can say, right, I can buy at any price up to 538, and I'm gonna have, profit, if not the same amount of Bitcoin that I had when I started with. So if you sell at 540, this is how I think of it. If you sell at 540, when it goes down to 520, you can buy in and instantly sell at 530, and you might, and that way. You're kind of minimizing your risk, and then when it goes down to 515, buy in 515, sell 525, and then you're increasing your dollar value. And yeah, it might then go from that 515 straight back up to 530, but you can buy back in at 530 and bank profit. So, once you get a good sell in at the top, you can be really, buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high. Just keep increasing your dollar value. And who cares where it goes? As long as you buy back in before 530 or wherever that good sell was, you're going to be up on you will be up on the dollar and you'll be up on the Bitcoin. So just get a good sell in. Wait for one of these super euphoric tops like we had. And when they're euphoric because you're looking at the chart thinking, I just don't believe it. And when you feel like you're walking on air, sell. It's like when it hit 1,200. When it hit 1,200, I mean, come on, I was walking on air. I was in Sainsbury's at the self kiosk terminals, and I was thinking, why haven't these things got Bitcoin? I was like telling this, I was like telling everybody. I was, everybody I saw was Bitcoin, wearing my T-shirt, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Everybody spoke to was Bitcoin. I was walking around like an absolute millionaire. Yeah, it was unbelievable. When it's that euphoric, it's a sell signal. You got the pundits on TV. Yeah, Bitcoin's worth $1,300 a coin. This is, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Mainstream when it's hitting the mainstream media channels every day, day after day after day. That's huge attention. It's got to be a sell signal. Got to be. Because that only happens on the 266 top and the 1,200 top. Mainstream media only care when it's bubbling at the top.
Yeah, that's pretty simple.
Sean said when CNBC is talking about it every other hour, there's your signs, right? When it's on the big pundit shows every hour, it's your top. Just sell. It will go down.
Well, so I'm just going to pop over to the YouTube page, see if there are any questions there. Anybody else in the lounge have a question or comment? You can always chime in. You want to take yourself off mute. I put a couple of people on mute that had their microphones on.
Thanks, Sean.
I apologize for that. But if you have something to say, let me hear you.
The other thing is, while anybody's sorting out the mic or anything, is when you sell Bitcoin and you bag holding dollars and Bitcoin just keeps going away and it just keeps going away and you're like, oh my God, it's never going to come back. Well, you know what? People feel like that because it does never come back. It does never come back. It's like when we went down to 350, 380 the other day, and we had a little bit of a rebound from 350 to like 380, and I was like, yes, we're pulling out of this. This is cool. And then somebody market sold 1,000 coins, and I just thought, man, I hope that just goes right in your face, and now I hope it just romps off. And it did, but that guy's probably sold 1,000 coins right at the bottom at 350. He's probably sitting there now thinking, will it ever get there again? And will it? I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I hope not. It's like you can find a lot of price ranges on Bitcoin that have never been reached again. Like anywhere from 260 up to 350, basically. If you sold anywhere in that price range, you would have to buy back at a loss, Bitcoin loss, not dollar loss, obviously, but so and sometimes like a lot of people that sold during some of the Mt. Gox crashes, kind of like 450, and then it went back up to 900. They were probably thinking to themselves, "God, an idiot, never go back down there." So it can just romp away from you. When it does, it's scary as hell because you just don't know when it's going to come back. It might be months, it might never come back.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've always advocated that if the Bitcoin community wants this thing to become, accepted, then the volatility's got to calm down. So as long as we still have all these crazy volatile moves, in my opinion, it's still very much in the speculative phase.
Well, the thing is, if you actually look, Jesse said, how much would you buy at 340? Well, I personally wouldn't buy any at 340. I've never stuck a penny in since it went more than $50 because I think it's too expensive. So, that's it. Too tight. As soon as it went over 50, I was like, no. And then when it hit 100 plus, never. 1,000, all this stuff, never buying that. Yeah, obviously other people do. They think it's going to go to 1 million. But what I think is, look at how many Bitcoins are on the exchange. That's the bottom, though. It is the bottom, yeah, 340. It's the bottom for now. But it's the bottom for now, And the reason why I say it's the bottom for now is because we have got less than 0.1% of all available Bitcoins that are out there right now. Yeah, loads could be lost, loads could be in wallets people don't have access to, hard drives, in garbage cans and all stuff. But right now, 11, 12 million Bitcoins have been made, and we have 0.1% on the exchanges. It's minuscule, minuscule. So I would like to see people holding back real tight, and I would like to see it come down deep. I would like to see kind of $10, $20 again, and I'd like to see some big players come out of the woodworks. I mean, you don't see many big players on it. All the big players out there are all just hoarding. You know, very few big players are out trading. You know, they're just holding. So I would like, you know, you've only got to get one big player. He could probably decimate it back down to like $20 to $30 or something. I mean, you look at coins that get stolen. Trade Fortress, he stole 4,000 coins. Silk Road Marketplace, 12,000. You know, all that stuff. I mean, that's a lot of coins. Where are they on the exchange? They're not there. They're just being hoarded. So paying $340 a coin is great if like, I don't know, at least 10% of them are on the exchange. We've got 0.1%. So to me, I just want cheaper. Well, I'm stubborn. You know, I bought in lower, and I just can't bring myself to buy in higher. But there's what's the name, Brian? You said something about volatility. I'm going to look something up about that for you because.
Well, it's just my feeling, and you know, through my presentation, hopefully you all just got the impression that I don't believe that we're in a bull market yet. So, you know, it's just my feeling that, for, you know, lack of a better term, Main Street America, for them to actually have confidence in the business model of using this as an alternative to, you know, classic currency transactions, the Bitcoin itself has to become much more stable. And, you know, that implies, number one, lower or higher highs and higher lows. But really, you know, what I think needs to happen is this thing just needs to settle down and just sit in a perceived value trading range that, you know, is maybe like $100 or something. You know, now that totally kills all the speculative side of this game, and you guys don't want to hear that. But that's just my feeling of what it's going to take for this thing to actually become a justifiable alternative to classic currencies.
Yeah, well,
what the heck is that?
Oh, it's I was on Ghost on Bitcoin.
Remember, this is supposed to be on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I was on Ghost on Bitcoin earlier. There's some great pictures on there.
Yeah,
but I'm looking. Oh man, that was great. Yeah, go on Bitcoin.
All right,
cool.
So it's now about 6:30-ish. I don't want us to get too off topic and start looking at porn while we're on YouTube. So I'll just give a last shout out. If you have a question in the lounge, then please take a moment to post it. I'll take a quick boo at YouTube. Looks like things are pretty quiet there. So if everybody's said their piece, then I think we ought to probably just start winding the show up. Next show Saturday, well, that's the low pro show, Sean. So theoretically, each show has its own theme. Flibbr, you know, like everybody's welcome to pop into the lounge. The schedule that I do these shows is on my website. And it's relatively new, so you know, don't think like we've been at this forever. This is, I think, maybe our 4th or 5th show. And we're just sort of learning our way along here how to run one of these shows. You know, I suppose what we ought to do is get some sexy intro music and a half decent moniker. I mean, all I do is I just type up something on my open office document, and that's our show moniker. So, you know, the show itself is still pretty amateur. But I think the information that we have in the show is of huge value. You know, it'll be nice. I can't wait till we're like, yeah, we're in Super Bowl mode. Everybody, you know, mortgage your house, buy Bitcoins now. I can't wait till that event. But we're not in that environment right at the moment, so obviously things can get a little soft. What I do find interesting is what you'll probably find is that we're actually this will get really, really busy, the next Bitcoin bull market. So the fact that we're sort of getting comfortable and getting into our groove during the bear market will mean that, you know, when the bull comes around, we should just be rocking and rolling. All right, so last call. Any questions in the lounge? Anyone want to ask something, or we'll wind this up?
Jesse Green said S-curve of technology businesses, whether it's Twitter or Facebook.
You watched that video too? Did you watch that guy's video too, Jesse? I watched that video. Yeah, there was a guy on... I'm not quite sure. Maybe it was on a Reddit or whatever. But yeah, he did an interesting. I'm not saying that the end of Bitcoins is here, because frankly, you know, at such a small market cap, we could still, you know, like I would actually personally think that this Bitcoin market cap, if it got up into the, say, now I heard that the U.S. economy is 17 trillion. So if we got up into the, say, $6-7 trillion market cap, then I would say we have a bubble. So at what are we? We're probably about $7 billion, maybe $10 billion, with all of the other altcoins thrown in. We still could have a long, long, long way to go on this rally. All right.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the other thing, the other thing I say is, at the moment, the market isn't even big enough for anybody to put any money into it. Like if you want to put in, say, $10 million, you know, right now you're going to send it up to $1,000 a coin again. So they need, yeah. So they need, so the Bitcoin valuation to become worthwhile has got to be kind of at least kind of $50,000 a coin at least. But the other thing is, if you look on the long-term log chart, that's what I was looking for. I couldn't find it. But you've got the $30 to $1 bubble. You've got a couple in between. I think it's like 14 to 7. You've got kind of, you know, 250 to 50, 1,000 to 30, and the rate, the percentage that's been ripped off on each bubble. If you said the first one was, you know, ratio of 30 to 1, the 250 to 51 is whatever that is, you know, 6-7 to 1, I don't know, whatever it is, and this one's actually been less. So each bubble is like people realize that it's like, I'm going to hold on to this tight. I'm not going to sell it down to $1. Yeah, so it's like people's hands get a bit stronger, and each bubble gets a little bit less on the fall. You can see it happening every time as well, and so really, as it gets higher and higher, it kind of, that's what causes the stabilization. It's as it gets higher and higher in value, you know, the kind of the drops and that become less and less until eventually, yeah, it just becomes something really boring that kind of everybody trades to get, like, you know, a $2 swing is going to be like, whoa, $2.
Well, that's so, and so you have to get to that point. But you know, you know, my personal hunch is as soon as we can get some sort of trustworthy exchange in the West to actually make a market on these things, then I think you're right. You know, then the fund companies, they can come in and they can push price up dramatically. And what will actually have happen is you'll have exchange traded funds on Bitcoins, where the Bitcoins themselves, nobody ever trades the Bitcoins because they're just too damn expensive. You know, a good analogy is Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. You know, at one point, I remember Berkshire stock, if I'm not mistaken, I think at one point it was over like $100,000 a share. Just insane. So the only alternative he had was to create little spin-offs. Class B, Class C, Class D, you know, that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of what I think would happen with Bitcoin, is that Bitcoins themselves just going to get too expensive for Joe Sixpack to trade. And so they'll probably trade the ETFs off these things. Anyway, all right, so it's about 20 to 7. Looks like, I guess, you know, the market's a bit quiet, so we'll end a bit early tonight. Flibbr, do you have a web page or anything?
I've got my website flibbr.com, but it's not really working. So, you know, I wouldn't bother checking out. Just check out Twitter, Flibbr on Twitter.
All right.
Or just come on TradingView.
So, or TradingView. You can get a hold of me on TradingView at, you know, I think I go by the name of CRInvestor there. Crossed 400 followers today. Woohoo! Party!
Whoa!
Anyway,
A boost.
just slowly building a following, which is what everybody's asked. If you'd like to visit my website, feel free, the rationalinvestor.ca. You can watch all the past episodes right off of the website. You can check out all the Twitter feeds with all my charts and analysis. Follow me if you want at CRInvestor on Twitter. You can always join the website if you feel like. We're actually rolling out a new website relatively soon, so you can look forward to that. If you did enjoy the program tonight and you'd like to give a little karma back, always accepting donations. Feel free to make a donation. At the way this, you guys all know how this thing works. I was very honored to see you guys have helped me out to the tune of about $500 so far through these seminars and tutorials. So very pleased with the response there. You can check out the schedule of shows and tutorials at any time on this Google Calendar. And other than that, you feel free to look at all the various different services and stuff. These are all open to the public. I posted the link in the room earlier tonight. And I think on that note, I think I'll thank you, Flibbr, for awesome analysis as always. Thank you, lounge attendees, for participating and giving your feedback and suggestions and questions. Jesse, I'll mention the IFTTT. I guess, is that your service? I don't know, but here is Jesse's idea. Let's see, do I still have it? There it is. There's Jesse's idea. Get notified of the CRInvestor and Flibbr's Bitcoin live show. We'll see if we can work that into the program. Thank you for the idea, Jesse. And thank you, Internet World, for giving us this opportunity to come out and give you our impressions of where we think Bitcoin's going. So everybody have a great evening. Have a great week. Good luck trading. Be sure to check out all the other shows that we have on to learn about all the different things that go into making up a good trader. And we'll see you all again next week. Hopefully same bat time, same bat channel. You have a great night, Andre. And
see you, Brian.
all the best to you, everybody. Good night.
See you, everybody. Bye.